What do you think is going to be the future of the entire crypto industry?
I think it's going to mature a lot. It's already coming to, a lot of it is going to go through airdrops, for example, to get early traction for your projects. Bitcoin ETF, and now there's some tokenization happening on Ethereum by BlackRock. Memecoin season, maybe Memecoin season. If you are a crypto investor, you do have to understand the seasonability.
This is Token 2049 Dubai. My name is Madiha Khan for Voice of Crypto, and today I have with me Rob from TokenMinds. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So first, let's start off with TokenMinds. Can you just talk to us about the germ thought, the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, we started in 2017, where there was a huge boom in the ICO space. And we actually were one of the first real crypto agencies out there. So there were a lot of projects, but they didn't have the resources, they didn't have the knowledge on the marketing or development. They just had a great idea and they wanted to enter the space. And we basically came in to help them with that. I visited conferences just like this, purely out of my own interest. And from that, I talked to people and they said, hey, can you guys help me with these and these things, whether it's the crypto marketing side or the blockchain development or an ICO strategy, and that's how TokenMinds got born.
That's great. And since you've been, one of the pioneers in this field, and you've sort of seen the evolution, what do you think is going to be the future of the entire crypto industry? Say in the next 5 years.
I think it's going to mature a lot. It's already coming to more of a mature stage. You can see around here it's a lot more professional than when we started. It was very wild, a lot of ideas, but now the startups are getting more serious, I would say. The market is more mature, there's more competition, there's more pressure to actually perform, actually generate revenue. So I think right now we're in a stage where there is the protocol layer, so let's say the infrastructure that is still being built because it's not there yet, but it's getting to a point where there's going to be real adoption, so there's going to be some winners in the space on that side. And then there's going to be the application layer side for projects that are actually developing user-based applications. And that's something we're specialized in, to get them to the market and help them where they need to be.
That's great. In your entire journey so far, what have been some of the biggest hurdles that you had to overcome, especially to do with perceptions for people?
The perceptions of the crypto market?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Around these fundraising campaigns, there is a lot of bad perceptions, especially in the beginning, because there were a lot of projects that didn't have a lot of substance, and they tried to basically raise funds for something that didn't really, could really come into fruition because the business idea wasn't strong enough. I think that has kind of flushed out right now. Even if you look at a lot of launch pads and IDOs, those projects are not really getting any traction. So I think that was a really kind of a crowd that was just very excited about something that they didn't know a lot about. But now the crypto investors also matured and they have burned themselves and they're not going to burn themselves again. So you still can do a great token sale, for example, because there's a lot of value, and we from TokenMinds really believe in the future of that because it really makes the startups able to get their audience involved, their users involved in their startup, and they can also have the upside from that. So we do believe in that, but we don't think it's going to be just for any project out there. I think, and we're not even, a lot of it is going to go through airdrops, for example, to get early traction for your projects. So I think that perception already has changed, that there's a lot of scams out there, because they're not. Right now, the market is more professional in that sense.
Definitely. So you told me that, when you started off, you were the first ones, you were the pioneers in what you were doing. But today, that's not the case. There's so much of clutter in the market, with the kind of field that you're in. How do you, for TokenMinds, differentiate out of all of that? What would be most unique for your company?
Yeah, I think we really differentiate ourselves by being a one-stop shop. So a lot of our competitors are just doing, let's say, the crypto marketing, and they're doing just one like PR publication part, or they only do the smart contract development side. And we really help startups get from 0 to 1 and beyond. So we have one team that helps them with their marketing efforts, the development efforts, and whatever token sale efforts they're doing from the strategic side. Also, we have an accelerator where we partner up with different strong partners from even the traditional space, like Rocket Internet and Boston Consulting Group, where we bring all that knowledge for the startup world from Web 2 into the startup world for Web 3.
That's really nice. Trying to know you a little better since you've been in this space for such a long time. Is there an individual that you've sort of idolized, or you follow their work, you've looked up to?
Yeah, there's, like you said, there's a lot of clutter. There's a lot of, I think I idolize in general all the entrepreneurs, all the people that are trying to build something in the space, and they're super excited about something. And there's so many little things. There's so many different blockchains and parts of the technology that you can focus on, or part of the user base that you can focus on. So my admiration in general is just for the entrepreneurs trying to do something great in this space.
That's nice. When we talk about countries, the entire crypto scenario slightly differs when it comes to policies that the governments are coming up with. So, what do you think, could bring out a change in the entire crypto and Web3 industry becoming more mainstream as far as the governments are concerned? Like, what kind of regulations would really help the market?
Yeah, there has been some updates in that regarding like the Bitcoin ETF, and now there's some tokenization happening on Ethereum by BlackRock. So there is definitely a lot of movement. I think it's coming from companies pushing these innovations, and then it gets approval finally by the government, and then it gets more mainstream adoption. So I think it's always pushed by the industry itself. I don't think there's going to be one regulation and it changes everything. It's probably more like the other way around, that it's going to limit things, and then the companies will push back and the users will push back. So I do believe a bottom-up approach where we as an industry come up with great solutions and probably have to find ways how to work best with existing regulations, and that's what brings us all forward to mass adoption.
That's a very nice way to actually really put that. One thing on a very generalized perspective is that the centralization of finances, of centralization, is sort of not really very good for countries and industries in general. What is your perspective about that, since we work towards decentralization of everything?
Yeah, there's more friction when it comes to centralization, and that's I think an inherent thing which we have as an advantage in our industry, that we reduce friction, and that in the end will be a winning strategy. So I think it's just a slow move towards decentralization in general and removing friction points in the financial industry.
Right. And moving forward, what do you think could be some of the setbacks for us, or some things that we really need to work hard when we talk about the crypto industry or Web3 market for it to become more accessible to people?
Yeah, the number one thing is just the usability, the UI. It needs to be as easy or easier than Web 2, and right now Web 2 is still easier, but there's a lot of innovations which are making Web 3 right now as accessible as Web 2. But like I said, we're still also working on the infrastructure layer side, and that needs to come together a little bit more. And then the application layer needs to have a great UI and connect to that infrastructure layer, and then it's gonna go parabolic, hopefully. Yeah.
That's nice. One more thing that I want to understand is that we talk about all the complexities that we have, but at the same time, there's also a lot of education that needs to happen within the field, and even for people who are trying to just sort of get into it. So in TokenMinds, how do we sort of ensure that information and education is also happening simultaneously?
From TokenMinds, we work directly with B2B clients. So we work with projects, we work with founders and entrepreneurs. So we educate them about Web3 and what you can do with Web3, what the best practices are. And then with their project, they educate their own, let's say, consumer-based audience.
Right. And one final question that I want to ask you is that if there is any new investor, a new startup, a new entrepreneur who is wanting to get into the Web3 landscape, what is the one piece of advice that you would want to give to that person? For this, I want you to directly look into the camera and speak.
Yeah, of course. I would say it's very important to look from your heart. I almost want to say what you're inspired about in the industry. So go to these conferences like 2049, look around and see what moves you, what touches you, whether it's from the technology side or from the user side, and see what sparks your interest, what sparks your passion, and then go for that. And of course, have persistence is very important because you will have a lot of setbacks. It's going to go up, it's going to go down. But I think as long as you follow what's in your heart in terms of your passion, you're going to do great.
That's a really nice piece of advice. And one more thing that I want you to help us out with is that there are a lot of complexities, there are a lot of jargons, and no matter how much time you've spent in the industry, you still cannot be sure of every single jargon that comes across. So for our audience, I want you to debunk any one jargon that you can think at the top of your mind.
Debunk a jargon.
Yeah, debunk a jargon from the crypto world, from the Web3 industry.
Memecoin season, maybe. Memecoin season. If you are a crypto investor, you do have to understand the seasonability of meme coins, for example, altcoins, because a lot of them, they have more of, I would say, let's say a cultural value than a real inherent business value, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to be an investor in that, you do need to understand those dynamics.
That's a great debunking, and also like sort of a piece of an advice that just came out over there. Rob, thank you so much for talking to us and being a part of this podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.